Hey, welcome back, everybody. We're nearing the peak of Atlantic hurricane season right now. We've got a couple of ditties right here starting to spin up. We got a 40%er and a 20%er, so we've been watching these two guys for sure. Let's bring in Fox Weather hurricane specialist Brian Norcross. Brian, we've been watching these with the NHC. One bubbled up, was a 10% chance, and that lasted about 12 hours. Now it's gone. Now we've got that 40% shot and a 20% shot behind it, so things are starting to peak up just a little bit.
Just a little bit, and when we have these very disorganized systems, the forecasts jump around. So some days the models say, oh, it looks like it's going to develop, and then they say, no, because we don't really have a circulation to latch onto. But that is beginning to change, I think. We'll look at this in more detail in a second. But there are the two disturbances you were talking about, Bob. And to the north, it's just high pressure. So the flow around all these high pressure systems, you can see it here, is like that. But it's mostly to the north, and down here in the tropics, the flow is very light. So the systems are not going to move very fast, and that's going to take quite a bit of time for all of this here to develop, more time than normal. Things are definitely moving more slowly than normal. The dust is finally kind of going to give this system a break, it looks like. You notice there is some dust on it, and when we do analysis of the computer models as it moves to the west, it takes some of that with it, but it tends to moisten up a bit. This one back here is kind of embedded in the dust right now. We'll see if it can push it away and gather any moisture about it. This one is not of concern at this point. Let's look at this close up, though. This is kind of interesting because the system that the National Hurricane Center is tracking is this one, or the part of the system. If you think of this whole big long line of low pressure here, they've been tracking this one back here, but I think this one here, this glob of thunderstorms, is showing some rotation, so it may be the one that ends up consolidating, assuming one does out of this. When we have a long line of thunderstorms like that, sometimes it just takes a lot of time. In fact, it usually takes a lot of time for some part of it to break free. Sometimes it doesn't do it. When we look at the enhanced satellite picture where we look at where the tallest thunderstorms are, remember this was the one that had some kind of a little bit of circulation showing there. We see pretty good thunderstorms there, where we really don't see much over here where the Hurricane Center was tracking it. So we'll see at 2 o'clock, we'll get the update, and we'll see if it jumps over to this new system here. All right, on the wider view, we can see that all this is part of an elongated area of disturbed weather, which is always there. It's actually technically called the monsoon trough.
Are you trying to grow your brand using outdated tools?
You're just not cool anymore.
Making connections is easy with SurveyMonkey. Get market research delivered in hours.
Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us. I'm Brandy McGill. Getting the youth involved today, correct? The other hand, and after tourism in Houston may have been battered by severe weather, and unfortunately, we are tracking yet another threat for tropical weather to come into the area. Here's the latest update from the National Hurricane Center. What was once an INVEST, now designated as PTC 6. All this means is it's just amping up the odds of this turning into our next named storm, which would be Francine. We've got tropical storm watches that are in effect, especially out in Mexico, but we will likely see those spread into the U.S. At this point, the winds are moving at 50 miles per hour. We just don't have a consolidated center of low pressure. We're still seeing some interaction between what was two individual INVESTs now sort of coming together. But this is the storm to watch, especially as we get into middle and late next week. Here's the cone of uncertainty, if you will, where that center of low pressure could track. Notice Houston, you are under that threat. As far as areas like Lake Charles, that's where the model consensus is trending, a little farther out towards the east. If you have a weaker storm, it would stay farther towards the west, heading towards Texas. A stronger storm, though, pushes a little farther out towards the east. At this point, we are expected to see a hurricane right around Wednesday morning to Wednesday evening. So that would be a Category 1 as it makes its approach much closer to the U.S. coast. So anytime when we have something that has a slight chance of developing in the Gulf of Mexico, especially with how warm those waters are, it does bear notice and watch it. We could potentially see something undergo some rapid intensification later on. At this point, the max intensity that we are honing in on is a Category 1. That's not to say, though, we couldn't inch that up and the later model scans, and as we get a little more data from the hurricane hunters that are still out and about flying flying through this particular storm. The models, though, they vary from a low-end tropical storm all the way towards a Category 1, maybe greater than that in terms of a hurricane. But because we don't have a completely formed system, it's hard for the models to truly understand exactly what is happening. At this point, though, the National Hurricane Center is dubbing it a Category 1 as we head a little bit closer to the middle and later half of next week. This is what it looked like on visible satellite. We had previously Invest 90L that was sort of forming around the stationary boundary that brought the wet weather pattern towards the southeast, and then what is now PTC 6. The Caribbean is getting stalling, just eat up all the moisture in the warm waters that's sitting out into the Bay of Campeche. The hostile wind environment is word of uncertainty, and the overall models are pulling it towards spots like the Texas coast and Louisiana because we have two steering systems. We've got a steering low pressure as well as a high pressure system that acts to guide it into this somewhat of a tunnel. But the overall forecast here, though, is trending towards Lake Charles. But there is still a lot of time to watch things sort of move around. By Tuesday into Thursday, the light upper winds turn a little more hostile, but we do have some dry air as well that will get entrained in this, creating a narrow corridor of intense rain as we do see some land interactions. That track confidence is fairly high, though it does get a little more uncertain as we get into, let's say, Thursday of next week. But this is the new update from the National Hurricane Center that came out at 5 o'clock, dubbing it and designating it as PTC 6. So there's a lot more information yet to come, dating it as PTC 6. So there's a lot more information yet to come with this storm. Louisiana, formerly known as the Capital One Tower, getting demolished on Saturday morning, 4 years after it was smashed up by Hurricane Laura. Laura was a powerful Category 4 storm that hit the Louisiana coast on August 28th back in 2020. If you follow along with the weather online, you might remember shards from this building falling all around the storm chasers that rode out Laura nearby. The skyscraper was really a landmark along Interstate 10 since its opening back in 1983. Lake Charles Mayor Nick Hunter said, "We can't follow these buildings or allow these buildings to sit untouched indefinitely," saying it could decrease property values in the city. The city's not sure what is coming up next for site. But in light of Hurricane Laura, let's review kind of what it looked like and what 2020 as a whole brought towards the Gulf Coast. This was scenes back in August. You see that radio tower completely destroyed, being whipped around. Almost looks like a tornado came through. That's a common misconception. Hurricanes and tornadoes can produce very similar damage. Roofs had to be tarped as a Category 4 storm is one of the strongest we can see upon landfall. Not many happen, not even one every single year, although 2020 was sort of an anomaly when it came to the amount of activity. Laura was that Category 4 as it tracked through the Caribbean, rapidly intensified into the Gulf of Mexico, and upon landfall was at its peak intensity. So that only aids to the fury that this system can unleash. Lake Charles was near where that path made through. However, it was proceed with caution. Just any additional rain is going to be a hindrance to any kind of cleanup efforts. Behind 92L, we have multiple areas of disturbed weather. We have a chance of development 50%. That's moving just behind 92L. This system also, too, has that northerly curve to it, so no expected land impacts for the U.S. Behind that one, we have yet another one that's moving off of the Cabo Verde Islands. That's our next area to watch, still given some semblance of chance to develop, but also expected to move a little farther out towards the north. Now, whether these systems gain independence or they merge with that third disturbance moving is still a bit of an open question, but still it doesn't change the model consensus and the thinking that the impacts to land will be slim to really none. But heading back over towards PT6, now this says Invest 91L, however, that's what it used to be. Now they upgraded a little bit and designated it as a PTC6. Things evolve, things change all the time. The chance for development, though, is high, 90% over the next 2 and 7 days, and it's likely to be Francine. Whether we get Francine, it remains a potential tropical cyclone, or we do get Hurricane Francine, the rain is going to be a very key story to these areas that are already very wet from the week's worth of Labor Day rain that we've had. In addition to that, gusty winds, some storm surge as well could be possible, especially for the Texas coastline as well. Areas that should be on alert, I'm thinking from Corpus Christi all the way towards Lake Charles and even New Orleans, not necessarily for a direct landfall of a tropical storm or a hurricane, but just for any additional rain and flash flooding is going to be a continued threat. If this storm is a little bit weaker in the coming days, it will track a bit closer towards spots like Houston. If it is a little bit stronger, it'll move a little slightly out towards the east. The overall consensus, though, is somewhere near Lake Charles, Louisiana. But the exclusive Fox model, which typically has a good track record in terms of tropical systems, is projecting it to move just towards the east of Lake Charles. We have quite a bit of rain toward the northern end of that storm system, but notice that southern half not as good. Reason being, we've got quite a bit of dry air that will work its way into the southern half, and so that should reduce some of the rain in that part of the storm, but it will mean a consolidated area that we just see torrential downpours, and areas where we have these outer rain bands that set up. That's that continual training effect that will lead to excessive rainfall at times. The rain forecast so far from Monday through Friday, we're predicting a good 5 to 8 inches, maybe a couple of areas we could see higher than that, upwards of 8 plus. That would be very, very localized. We're not expecting that to be widespread, but we don't even have a fully developed system yet. We're just looking at a potential tropical cyclone 6. So the forecast will change indefinitely, so take this with a grain of salt, but if you do live along the Gulf Coast, especially Texas, Louisiana, keep checking back in. You can download the Fox Weather app. We will bring you all the latest updates. You can even get notifications on your phone in terms of the latest happenings with PTC6 and other things that are happening across the main development region. The Flash are expecting to see more of these watches and potentially even warnings begin to slide into the U.S. So those will be some of the later updates that we'll watch from the National Hurricane Center as we continue to...
Wherever the game takes you, Marathon is by your side because we're driven together.
Acorn TV is brilliant television from around the world. Acorn TV, brilliant.
Hurricane HQ.
We're bringing forecasting grit to the gridiron. Fox weather is
Strengthening, this tightening, this better organization for tomorrow. That's when it will be named Francine. And then we get into Tuesday, still hugging the Mexico coastline, the Texas coastline, just offshore of the coast for Tuesday, but winds starting to pick up for them, a little breezy for them, winds gusting up to 30 miles per hour. Here at home, New Orleans area, may get a little breezy Tuesday. We'll see winds coming in from the east. This is when we could maybe get the minor coastal flooding beginning because of the sustained east wind pattern Tuesday and Wednesday. So could see some minor coastal flooding beginning for the high tides on Tuesday in our part of the Gulf. Also winds starting to pick up for our coastal spots, maybe gusting 20, 25 miles per hour on Tuesday. So it gets breezy Tuesday. We'll have the passing tropical downpours, but the the roughest of the weather again coming in Wednesday into early Thursday, and then we take this farther out in time. This is Tuesday night, still seeing the storm turn to the northeast. So that's what we'll be watching. How much can it turn? Because exactly where it makes landfall this week will really depend on how much of the impacts that we see from this, the extent of the impacts at least. So this is a sustained wind speed forecast for the next couple of days. Winds picking up, and then going into Wednesday, taking that turn or curve to the northeast. These are sustained winds. So western Louisiana seeing this strong sustained winds picking up 50, 60 plus miles per hour, probably even higher than that. If we're talking Cat 1 strength, we're in the 70, 80 range for sustained winds right in the center of the storm. So Wednesday, this is what we have. Wednesday evening, again, that's when the storm really looks like it will be pushing inland. And then for us, the windy weather in our part of the Gulf, southeast Louisiana, South Mississippi, New Orleans, strong winds expected Wednesday, especially for the coastline and for our westernmost areas. So strong winds expected Wednesday, but check out the sustained winds for New Orleans, 20, 30 miles per hour. Coastal spots will probably see sustained winds closer to 40 miles per hour. Getting into Thursday, this is early, like midnight, so late Wednesday, early Thursday, strong winds spreading inland, gusty winds continuing for us into early Thursday, and then as the system pulls away, things start to calm down the second half of the day on Thursday. So again, this is Tuesday, again, like I mentioned, getting a little breezy during the day Tuesday, nothing crazy just yet, maybe winds getting a little stronger for the coast on Tuesday. Wednesday, that's when I'll call it a windy day for us. Sustained winds coming in from the east. This is when we could see again the coastal flooding for our eastward facing shorelines, even our southern facing shorelines. So really our coastal spots can be dealing with some coastal flooding for Wednesday because our winds will be coming mostly from the east southeast. So that's why we'll be seeing maybe some moderate coastal flooding. These are our sustained winds around 20, 25 miles per hour, maybe 30, 35 mile per hour sustained winds for the coast on Wednesday. And then we get into early Thursday, so this is like the middle of the night when the storm looks like it will be moving inland. Sustained winds maybe 30, 40 miles per hour at the coast, 25, 35 miles per hour inland. So it's just going to be a windy late Wednesday, a windy early Thursday, and then that system pulls away. Winds will start to calm down getting into Thursday afternoon. Still a little breezy though the first part of the day. Thursday night, that's when things kind of wind down for us. As it looks now, again, the timing with this can still change. But let's talk more about the impacts. This is going to be a weather impact alert day for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because we will see flooding rain, tropical downpours coming in waves starting Tuesday, really picking up in intensity Wednesday, and then lasting through early Thursday. Wednesday's going to be a nasty day. Just a lot of rain, just kind of a nuisance. When you want to go from point A to point B, driving is going to be a real pain because we'll see those passing tropical downpours. We'll probably see some street flooding during the day on Wednesday, but really Tuesday, Wednesday into early Thursday could see some street flooding across the area. Also our bodies of water probably going to rise a little bit because we've gotten so much rain.
Unless you tag. You gotta start at $100. It's because you're not spending enough money to market your business. See, a lot of times, you know what we day training is, we're gonna have a speaker that actually is that can
Alexa, what's the weather?
Let's check the weather. It will help us pick out a snappy outfit to match with today's forecast. The current weather is 80 degrees Fahrenheit with cloudy skies. Tonight, you can expect cloudy skies moving in and out with a low of 71 degrees.
Alexa, what's the weather tomorrow?
Here's the forecast for tomorrow. Look for lots of clouds and thunderstorms with a high of 86 degrees Fahrenheit and a low of 74 degrees.
Alexa, what's the weather on Tuesday?
On Tuesday, September 10th, you'll see thunderstorms and can expect a high of 81 degrees Fahrenheit and a low of 73 degrees.
Alexa, what's the weather on Wednesday?
Here's the forecast for Wednesday, September 11th. Look for rainy weather with a high of 78 degrees Fahrenheit and a low of 76 degrees.
Alexa, what's the weather on Thursday?
Here's the forecast for Thursday, September 12th. Look for rainy weather, with a high of 83 degrees Fahrenheit and a low of 74 degrees.
Good evening and thanks so much for joining us. I'm Brandy McGill. We're starting tonight with weather. You may have seen a lot of chatter on social media. The tropics heating up now, and I'm guessing now we're in September. Taylor, what can you tell us? What's the latest?
Yeah, not unusual one bit for this time of year to see tropical activity pick up. And we've been tracking this tropical wave in the southern Gulf of Mexico. Now as it is designated as potential tropical cyclone 6. And we'll go ahead and take a closer look at the National Hurricane Center's forecast track and also a look at how intense they expect it to become. But taking a little bit of a closer look, we can see more thunderstorm activity with this tropical wave. Hurricane Hannah is still currently flying through it. Haven't found a well-defined center of circulation at this point, but we are getting more and more confident that it is going to become a tropical storm within the next 24 hours and likely going to become a hurricane before making landfall along the northern Gulf Coast. Anywhere from East Texas throughout southwest or central Louisiana, again, landfall along those areas are going to be possible, it looks like, by Wednesday. What does that mean for South Mississippi? Well, because we could be on the right side or the east side of this system, could be seeing some heavier rain bands, some spin-up tornadoes, and some coastal flooding by the middle of the week, specifically Wednesday and into Thursday. So we're going to continue to keep a close eye on the system. Now, landfall at this point, the forecast landfall a little tricky in terms of the location. The track of it may shift once we find a center of circulation. It's going to be easier to forecast at this point. But for now, brace yourself that we could be seeing some spin-up tornadoes, heavy downpours, and some coastal flooding by the middle of the week. For the time being, though, ended up being really nice today. Seeing a little more sunshine, and some clouds have begun to move back in, but all in all, the rest of tonight looking fairly calm. We still have some slightly drier air in place, but the humidity is going to be higher tomorrow as we head into our Monday. I apologize. This was supposed to be for this evening. Forgot to change the time. Again, today was nice. Tonight, not expecting too much in the way of weather. But again, we will continue to keep you updated on the tropics. A lot more on that coming up in a few minutes.